Hello everybody, Walt here. Welcome to episode 34 of my Global Let's Play series with the Space Node DLC. In the previous episode, we finally started making use of our nuclear farming setup by mutating some plants, and then we continued by beginning our work on a proper spaceport to launch our rockets from here on. But there is still a little bit of work to do, so let's jump back into the game and have a look. And here we are, back at our future spaceport. Now, the first thing I would like to do is actually make a little modification to the left side here, because I noticed that I actually have in this Radbolt reflector one layer too low. I actually need it to reach this and this spot here to actually get into the input ticks of the Radbolt engines, which means I need to move all of this here one up at least. So what I'm going to do is move this here up to this layer and then move this a little bit up so I don't have this step here. So everything should look a bit smoother. And with all of the space here opening up, I decided to also move the tube access to over here. Now in the intermediate time, we finished with the Brackeen research, so we can go back into the research tree, and we are only missing a few more things down here. So I'm just going to start working my way up. Without further ado, this is all built, as is already said. The next few steps are building the steam shimmers, or finishing the steam shimmers, building a cooling system in this corner, closing this off, building another cooling system, and then the top for the entire spaceport. So let's start down here. First, I'm going to add one more layer of diamond shift plates at the top there, which together with the layer down here means that all of this here is now in a range of the temp shift plates, and once all of the ice temp shift plates have been placed, I'm going to replace those two here and those two here, and then I will have all of this here thermally connected to the steam chamber down here. But what I can also do in the intermediate time is put a liquid lock on either side, close this off, and start pumping out all of the atmosphere at the bottom here. Now while we're waiting on the pump here to finish with its job, let's continue on the right side here. I could add another cooling tower, but I already have enough water, so I don't really need it. And to be totally honest, this tower here is only in there so I can put a meteor blast on top, and I don't want to waste the space below. But anyway, as I was saying, here I'm just going to close this part off, preferably without going to the side there. Then just some insulated tiles next to the ladders. And once those are in place, I can also start removing those ladders here, since they are also just in the way of the future rockets. Speaking of which, I could already start putting in the Radbolt engines over here. And on top of them, a Spacefarer module. Let's also go with steel, just for... come on. The increased melting temperatures. Okay, just so I have everything in place. And now I can also start adding some automation in here, because those here need to be fed with Radbolts, but only until they are full. So let's start with a NOT gate. And here I'm actually going to use tungsten, because this is going to be rather warm around and I don't want those to melt. Then I'm going to need an AND gate right here. Again out of tungsten. And then I'm finally just going to need some automation wire. Again tungsten. Just going to connect in these like so. Then down here and over, down here and over, until I'm all the way to the side here, and then I can switch to, let's say, gold or something else. Now, this one here, I need to move all the way to this one here. So let's see, up there, then just following in parallel, going all the way over here, and then over there. That should be the automation done. We are also done with the research, so let's have a look. The last few parts are over here, and then we essentially have the next achievement just waiting for us. And I almost forgot the bridge down here, but now the automation is done, which means we can start working on the top here a bit more. First, though, we should make sure the atmosphere can't leak out here, and my dupes should also be in an atmosphere from now on when they are working in here. But with that well prioritized, let's start working on the central part here. So first, I'm going to need one more chamber for a steam turbine. Like so, with a bit of petroleum on the inside. Then I need a couple cooling pipes, which go straight up. And then the output pipe for this one here. Then I'm also going to need power, which I'm going to grab myself from the outside there. Going to connect it down there. Then a few more metal tiles, and you know what? I'm going to replace those with bunker tiles, just to make sure that even if a meteorite finds its way in here, nothing too bad is going to happen. Then let's go all the way to the top on the sides with the ladders. Just like so. Then we will also have to do a little bit of digging for all of this area here, which I will do in a moment, but let's plan ahead on the top there. I'm going to need a Meteor blaster, and it doesn't have an overheat temperature, but I'm still going to use steel just to avoid unnecessary melting. Then for the cooling, let's go with a conduction panel, which also works in vacuum. Now the direction is the other way around. Let's go with steel again. So that's the cooling for this part done. It still needs two things. One is power. So let's go with steel wire going over here. And I will also need power on either side. I'm going to need one more, let's say here, and one more there. Although, let's go a little bit further out just to avoid unnecessary heating via exhaust from the rockets. So those will also need power. And just to avoid melting again, I'm going to need some tungsten here. So just the three in the middle. Then the last one is here. The rest can be steel. Just going straight over. Like so. That should be the power done. The last part that's still missing is the conveyor rails for the blast shots. So, and for those, again, I'm going to use steel, except for the middle parts once more, which will be wolframite. So, then we have this one here. And this one here. And then, as I said, the rest is steel. Just going straight over. And that should be definitely enough. Now, the blast shots come from over here, are being produced in the maker and then moved via this conveyor rail here. And they need to go, let's say, through here. And then let's see. Yeah, let's just go over here, then over there, and then let's just go straight over. Doesn't really matter much. Then a bridge here, a bridge there, and that works out quite nicely. Okay, that's the blast shots done more or less. And then obviously they will need a proper foundation. And now, let's just build this, and also while I'm here, let's clear out all of this garbage in this area here. For now, I'm just going to clear out the area above and in between the meteorite blasters. The sites will come at a later point, I suspect. And just a dozen cycles later, we have finished with the last research, which also means we have a new achievement, namely the honorary doctorate. Unlock every item in the research tree, which are 97 with the latest updates. Very nice to see that. Now, as you might have noticed, there were a few changes at the top here, namely I have removed the power wire and the conveyor rails, because I noticed that my blast shots are made out of, well, copper, and they would melt on the conveyor rails. So I moved everything down, and at the bottom here I will have a layer of liquids, which are also being cooled later on, so I should be able to avoid any unnecessary melting. I've also moved the power wire to the outside here with a little bit of a space in the middle here right next to the wall. The same on the right side of the spaceport over here. So I can actually put in my cooling system. And for that, I'm going to start with a little water reservoir on this side here, which will get some water, but also some metal tiles in here later on. But for now, let's first start with the liquid pipes. I will have 3 here, 3 there, and then another 3 there. Those will also go further up and cool down the blast shot or the meteor blaster. But we have printable, so let's really worry about that. So farming rocketry. We have another potential rocket or pilot. That might actually be a good idea. Yeah, I think I'm going with another pilot, since I will have at least 4 rockets, so that is definitely something to think about. Now, as usual, let's start with the schedule. Ashkan is in shift. Well, let's go with shift 4. Then I have my priorities for Ashkan pilot, rocketry obviously, but besides of that, doesn't really matter. And skills for Ashkan, rocketry, and potential data on rocketry 2. But for now, we'll leave it at that. Anyway, let's continue at the top there. So this will be continued in a moment. Next up, we have liquid pipes. And here I am actually going with not radiant pipes, but normal pipes, since this might get a bit warm. And I want to avoid the coolant just boiling off, which would be a danger with radiant pipes. So just going to make a big loop here. Like so, that should be enough. And then I'm just going to open this up and add a liquid bridge here and another liquid bridge there. Now usually this is a bad idea, since this liquid bridge here and the second one down here actually bridge temporarily the temperature from here over to there. But since I'm exchanging the heat here anyway, this is not an issue. And yeah, almost did a little bit of a problem here. So let's just clean this up. I don't need this power anymore. This can all go. Okay, that's that problem rectified. Anyway, that is the cooling loop for the Radbolt chamber. Then I need to go further down here. I can also already put in the, let's go with aluminium here. And then I will have some over here too. Oh, this is nice. This is already working. But I will have to clean up the area above it still. Anyway, I will also need at least one temp shift plate here in the middle. And then below I need the steam turbine. And then below that the steam chamber. For now I leave this open so I can get the liquids in. I also need to get rid of all of this here. And while I was working on this part here, I decided to already put in the vacuum chamber here to thermally insulate the steam chamber. Now, while this is still pumping out, let's work on the aqua tuner, which I'm going to place just in this corner down here. Then I am going to need the thermal sensor in this corner. Some automation wire. Also some power wire down here and also up there. Then it's time for the pipes. I'm going to need 2 down here. Then some radiant pipes for the cooling of the turbine. I also have the output of the turbine, which goes straight down into the liquid vent. Then I have this one here going down, then over, then through here and back. Oh, let's go just straight down there. And then the output goes over and then up, like so. That's this part done. At the top there, now that we know the direction, let's add a conduction panel, which goes in this direction. So this one here should also be cooled down. Because as you can see, since it's powered, it starts to heat up a little bit. So for now, I'm just going to depower it, since it's not really necessary right now. So this needs to be built, then this closed up, the steam turbine in, and then I can close up the rest here. And here we go, the cooling system is now up and running. I also already put in the water in this case as the coolant, and finished the water chamber up here. As you can see, just some aluminium to the sides and then around 3 tons of water. Very well. Now, this loop here still needs to be completed, but I also already planned the pipe here, which is coming from over here and will produce petroleum, which is the coolant I'm going to use in this loop here for now. At a later point, I might switch over to supercoolant. But for now, I'm going with the petroleum due to the high boiling temperature. So this is now done. This one here may or may not be used in the future, but will remain as is. And the next step is building a mirror of this here right over in this corner here. Just like in this here. Now in the meantime, I did some cleanup in my resources overlay here, and I noticed that I have a shovel egg lying around. So let's see where that is. Okay. Yep, there is the shovel egg. So it appears my dupes unearthed a shovel egg hidden in this area here, which is a bit annoying since I didn't really want to deal with them right now. So anyway, I have it now, so I need to deal with that. So let's build a somewhat temporary setup over here to keep them in. Now to keep shovels in an enclosure, you need to make the tiles either of refined metal, obsidian, or pneumatic doors. So I'm going with obsidian here, and let's see. I will also need some power potentially in there. So let's say I just need to make sure I'm going with steel here. This is likely overkill, but I just want to be on the safe side there. So then power I can grab from there. I will need a couple buildings in here. For one, I'm going to need a critter drop-off, potentially. Then a feeding station. I'm also going to need an incubator. And then I am also going to need, and this is under stations, the growing station. Then, you know what, I'm going to exchange the positioning a bit, so my dupes don't have to walk as far. So, now, again, the critter drop-off and the feeder. So, then power for the incubator, and if I switch those two around, I can put my timer, cycle sensor, right in the spot, then connect the two. Power is already in place, and that is all I need for the shovel range. And finished. I already put in all of the necessary settings, so this can now run off screen, and I don't really have to worry about this. Next up, oh, and I have something off-gassing in there, so I'm never going to get an actual vacuum in there, which is rather annoying, I would say. But, next up, I am actually going to remove all of this water, because the bottom layer should be liquid nuclear waste later on. But, for now, let's work on pipes, namely the water pipes for those two rockets here. I worry about those over here a bit later. So, now, usually what you would want to do is just run the pipe up into the spot and that's it. But the rocket will try to heat up the pipes, and the pipes will slowly interact and transfer heat to the water. So if I just have the water standing in there, it will just heat up until it boils and then, well, destroys or at least damages the pipes. So I am going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to run this in a loop, like so. And down here, I am going to have a small segment that is actually out of obsidian. that will be able to transfer heat to the double layer of liquids that should form at the bottom here once everything runs properly. And that should ensure that this water here remains at a decent temperature. Or at least that is the theory here. Anyway, I need to put in a bridge, so I'm just going to make a little modification over here. Namely, I am going to run the pipe over here and then up there. Nee, I'm actually running it up there. That looks better. Okay, now the pipe will come from over here, and where do I want to go? Do I go at the bottom or do I just go straight over? Let's go just straight over. Doesn't really make much of a difference. So, just like that, and then one more bridge in this spot there. And that's all I need to provide water to those two rockets here. Now, while I'm on the subject of the rockets, let's continue with building the rockets themselves. On top of the Spacefarer for this first module, let's actually rename them first. So, this one here will be my Explorer. Then this one here will be my Conqueror. Then I can also rename the platforms. So this is Rad 1. And this is Rad 2. Then, as I was saying, let's continue with the setup. So on top of the Spacefarer module, I am going to place a large gas canister right on top. Then on top of that, I am going to need, well, not really need, but I want 2 artifact transport modules. On top of that, 2 solar modules. And then we only have enough space for a basic nose cone. So that's my Explorer rocket. Then over here I have my Conqueror. This one will also have a large cargo transport canister. Then on top of that I am going to need 2 Trailblazer modules. I hope they are just 2 blocks high. Ach, there are 3 high. Okay, I will have to make a minor modification. I will have to replace this one here for a small canister. Slightly annoying and will reduce the amount of time the rocket can be in space, but it's not too much of an issue. And this is only needed for a short while and can be changed later on. So, and then the space con. So that's those 2 rockets done. What is still missing is the inside of those 2 rockets, but I will worry about those once all of this here is built. And there we go, the rockets are now built. I'm also done at the top here. The space is cleared out. And I also already started filling the oxygen into those gas tanks, which, thanks to having 3 gas rocket port loaders, is also 3 times as fast as with just 1. Now, let's get started with the Explorer. The first step is getting rid of the control station, and let's actually do the same over here, just to get ahead a little bit. Now, over here, I will have 3 rooms. A bathroom, a small bedroom, and then a great hall for more and increased moral. So let's start with the bathroom. The bathroom needs a wall toilet right there. And that toilet is going to need some water. And the water comes from up here. And then I'm just going to snake my way through this entire setup here. Similarly to the last time I had a rocket. Just like that. And then let's just close this off there. Next up, oxygen will come in a moment, but for now, let's actually put in a ceiling here, or a floor depending on how you look at it. Then pneumatic doors up there. I'm also going to need another pneumatic door up there. then over here, I'm actually going under stations, and here I'm going to put in a checkpoint towards the outside, and then why is this out of lead? Let's go with gold. So, and then the single seater. So this will be just for one astronaut. I will also need another ceiling on top. Let's go with carpeted tiles for that. So just 3 over there. Then a lowered one here, a raised one there, and another one there, and another one there. That is the general layout. Now over here, I'm going to put in a comfy bed. Let's go with the racing car. Now, on top of that, I'm going to place plastic tiles for a simple reason. They are very good at reducing the amount of radiation that comes in here, and yeah, my tube would get toasted during the night otherwise. So, then over here, I am, since this is my explorer, going to place a telescope, which is going right in this spot there. Shouldn't be too hot. Then in this spot, I'm going to place a storage bin. I'm also going to need a refrigerator, which I'm going to place up there. Then I am going to need, this is again under furniture. Where is it? The mess table, which will go right there. Now I have the control station, which I am going to place in this spot here. That should work. And then I need some more decoration, and for the Great Hall at least. So I am going to grab myself an aeropod and place it right there. The aeropod alone is already enough. Now over here I can place another of those pneumatic doors. In this space, I could in theory also move the control station over there. That might actually be potentially a good idea. Let's move that over there. So, now over here I'm going to need one more storage bin, which I'm going to place for now. Yeah, let's place it just there. That is looking good already. Now, I am going to need some power. Let's grab ourselves a power outlet, which goes... let's see, let's place that there. That looks good. Then I am also going to need the output fitting for gases, which I'm going to place in this spot here. And then under pipes, I'm going to run a pipe down here and over there, and then I have a gas vent at the bottom. And that will also, similarly to the oxalate, be used to delete any kind of carbon dioxide that's collected inside of this here. Now, this is pretty much all I'm going to need. I still need a party phone. Almost forgot about that. So I am going to grab myself under furniture, the party phone, and that goes right in the spot there. And now I still need some power, going all the way down there. Why the hell is everything out of lead? That doesn't make any sense. Why the hell did this switch over? So, anyway, this is pretty much all I'm going to need. And now I'm just going to copy the same setup more or less over here. Except this is going to be a twin-seater, so I need 2 docks, which means that I needed to move this one here over. And I totally forgot about the storage bin down here. I also will not have a party phone in here since I don't have power for that, so I'm going with the water cooler without any water here. But the main reason I stopped here is we have another achievement, and I'm not entirely sure which one. Ah, get a room. Build at least one of each of the following rooms in a single colony. And then we have a list of 8 different rooms, and the last one that was missing was the luxury barracks, which I just finished over in the Explorer right here. if we go into the room overlay, which is this one here. Yeah. Barracks. Not a luxurious barrack. Not sure, then maybe it's somewhere else. But independent of that, this here is pretty much done. I'm also already putting in oxygen, and once I have a decent amount of... Well, I actually can do this already, so under medicine. I still need a hand sanitizer in this spot here, which fits perfectly. As you can see, I also added a little bit of decoration where I had some space. And I'm also adding some naphtha here to keep whatever I'm putting in there, which will be an emergency reserve of oxalate, from off-gassing without any need. And down here, I've put in 5 atmosuits in case a dupe comes by and, well, gets stranded here with a not functional suit. And our space explorer is finally done. I have a functional bathroom, bedroom, great hall. I have lots of food and more than enough oxygen. So let's get this rocket into space. First, I'm going to need a new crew, which is going to be Max. Then I'm going to need a target, which will be for now this sandy ore field here, which has an artifact I want to collect. Then let's activate this one here. Let's start with the launch sequence. And now let's just wait until Max comes by. Although while we're doing that, let's quickly talk about the Conqueror. I completely forgot the Conqueror with the configuration of 2 trailblazers doesn't have any power production, so I can't really make use of the gas vent or the checkpoint. So instead I'm going to put some oxalate in this corner here before I put in the sanitizer. And that should be enough for what the rocket here is supposed to do with the trailblazers. But Max is already in the rocket, and now the rocket is producing nuclear fallout, lots of radiation, and a little bit of heat down here, but it's not that much actually. And yeah, you can already see the first bits of nuclear fallout turning into nuclear waste, which is nice to see there. And we also have some steam in here, so I will have to make sure that this liquid dock here doesn't get completely destroyed, which is always a bit of a tricky situation over there. I may have to do a little bit of a rebuild there. But for now, let's just make sure this is all removed, and I must make sure that Max can actually eat what is inside of the rocket. Okay, now this is all working more or less as intended. So I think this is a good point to stop with this episode here. We have now a functional spaceport. We have our first Radbolt based rocket in space, and next time we're going to work on the second rocket here and send it off, as well as do a little bit of work over here on Duplicants, since I'm pretty much done with any kind of plant I can do in this kind of setup here, and I will have to do a few more modifications over there before I can continue there. And with that, we've reached the actual end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Please like, share and comment if you did so. It really helps with the algorithm. Independent of that, I wish you a nice day, and well, see you.